Judge Andrew Napolitano is back, senior judicial analyst. Judge, always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming back on.
This is a fascinating and complex case. So he was arrested in New York and taken to Louisiana. Why Louisiana? Well, the federal judges in Louisiana have a more pro-government attitude about immigration than the federal judges in New York. However, the charges against him are filed in secret. This is not anything nefarious the government has done. The statute requires that the charges be in secret. So we don't know what the allegation is. If the allegation is just one of speech, or primarily one of speech, or one where speech and behavior are inextricably intertwined, then he has a valid and legitimate defense. On the other hand, the courts have always deferred to the president on foreign policy matters. The Congress defers to the president on foreign policy matters. And if the president of the United States, through the Secretary of State, has decided that his public behavior on the Columbia University campus when he was a student, he since has graduated, provides material assistance to a terrorist organization, then under those circumstances, they can, after demonstrating this to a judge, revoke his green card. Now, he is a permanent U.S. resident. He's married to an American citizen, and their baby is, of course, an American citizen.
So that would complicate things,
yes,
right?
It would. Yes, it would complicate things. The first issue that this judge has to decide is, do I have jurisdiction over this? Because he's supposed to be in front of an administrative judge, an immigration judge in Louisiana, where you've taken him. In the administration court, the prosecutor is Secretary of State, not in person, but through people who work for him. The judge works for the Secretary of State. This is not the same system that we have. If we were to be charged with an offense, we would go before a judge who is truly neutral and truly independent. So the federal judge in New York today has to decide. It's the habeas corpus proceeding, challenging confinement. Should I bring him here, or should I leave him in Louisiana? Do the judges in Louisiana have jurisdiction over him where he is? Or do I have jurisdiction over him because the act complained of occurred here in Manhattan?
One of the key points you made is that we don't know the charges.
Right.
But we could have a discussion about free speech, protected speech, but it's not absolute. How far does free speech go?
So if he stood on a soapbox, so to speak, on in front of Low Library in the main beautiful part of Columbia University campus and said, support Hamas, I love Hamas. Hate speech, but absolutely protected. Speech that stings and bites and hurts and torments and harasses, but it's just speech. If, on the other hand, he collected money and somehow caused that money to go to Hamas, that is obviously not protected. That is providing material assistance to a terrorist organization. Is Hamas a terrorist organization? The government has characterized it as a terrorist organization. We all know what happened on October 4th. October 7th. But the United States is now negotiating with Hamas and recognizing it as a legitimate voice for the Palestinian people. All of this stuff is going to be before this federal judge. This is a complex and fascinating case, and it will set the ground rules for many other cases to follow, because the president, this is part of his foreign policy, is to send aliens, by the definition of which is a non-American citizen, home, who come here to impair our foreign policy.
Yeah. More broadly speaking, though, perhaps a takeaway from this whole case, Judge, is that if you're a green card holder and you have the privilege of coming to America and study at an American university, you know, maybe you don't align yourself with a terrorist organization that America has deemed.
A great observation. So that's why this federal judge will probably say to the prosecutors today, he hasn't seen the charges because they're secret. What are the charges against him, and what is the evidence? Is it just speech, or is there something more than speech? And if it's something more than speech, tell us what it is, and I'll decide whether or not I think you can prove your case.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and great point. This is the one to watch because, again, President Trump has promised that they will continue on with these for those that do speak out or support Hamas or other terrorist organizations. If they're holding a green card, that it would be revoked, but we'll see what happens.
I think by tomorrow morning, the three of us will be able to analyze what happened in the courtroom this afternoon.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.